What? They start already.
हाँ जी रोहित जी।
Yeah.
हाँ ठीक है, आ गया। ठीक है। हो गया सर। हाँ रोहित जी, आवाज आ रही है आपको मेरी? हेलो।
आपकी आवाज आ रही है? आपकी आवाज आ रही है?
मैं ज्वाइन करूँ सर?
सर आवाज आ रही है आपकी?
हाँ रोहित, कैन यू हेयर मी?
यस सर, यस।
ओके ठीक है।
ओके सर।
मेरी आवाज आ रही है रोहित जी?
यस सर, आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
आ रही है ना? लेकिन मैं अपना कैमरा ऑन नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, पता नहीं क्यों।
सर ये तो आपके एंड से ही होगा ना?
आप मेरे एंड से ही है, आई नो।
ठीक है, मैं उधर बैठा हूँ।
Hello, Rawat. How are you? This is Syed Akbar Hashimi. I am in Bahrain now. I will be in Delhi very soon, but yeah, for AGM, I plan to be there. Thank you very much for inviting me, Rawat. This is Syed Hashimi. Can you hear me? Rawat, this is Syed Hashimi. Can you hear me? Hmm?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, good, good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Rajesh ji. This is Saraf here.
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार जी।
हमने ज्वाइन कर लिया सर। मैं बस एक बार ये शेयर करके देख रहा हूँ, शेयर ठीक हो रहा है कि नहीं। रावत जी, ये ठीक दिख रहा है?
हाँ, आपका स्क्रीन दिख रहा है?
बस बस ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है। मैं
मेरा कैमरा नहीं आ पा रहा राजेश जी।
हाँ, आपका कैमरा नहीं दिख रहा।
हाँ, मेरा कैमरा, मैं उसको ऑन नहीं कर पा रहा, जबकि कैमरे की लाइट जली हुई है, बट
हाँ।
स्टिल द वीडियो इज नॉट कमिंग।
ये वेबएक्स में प्रॉब्लम होता है, आप जूम का कर लिया करो।
क्योंकि मैं ये इस सॉफ्टवेयर पे कभी पहले ट्राई किया नहीं है ज्यादा बार,
हाँ,
तो
तो मेरा वीडियो भी दिख रहा है?
हाँ, मेरा वीडियो नहीं दिख रहा, आपका दिख रहा है।
अच्छा सराफ सर आप है ना? मुझे लगा रावत सर है।
नहीं नहीं, मैं डीके सराफ हूँ।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
ये
हाँ,
कैसे
आपका नहीं आ रहा। हाँ
कैमरा कैसे चलाते हैं इसमें, आइडिया कुछ?
सर, वो वीडियो शॉप वीडियो करके वो होगा। सर गुड मॉर्निंग सर, गुड मॉर्निंग सर। मैंने नहीं खींचा था। नहीं सर, सर 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 ये शाहिद सर, ये शाहिद सर का आपने मेरा बिल्कुल, क्योंकि सर वो करना चाहता हूं कि आपके थ्रू तो। हाँ बिल्कुल सर। सर एक्चुअली सर एक्चुअली सर हम करेंगे। अब इस बार सर सात का कोई और पूरा वो जनवरी में हमारा शुरू का। हाँ हाँ सर, ये ऑडियंस को मुझे अपनी वाली नहीं है। तो सर वो एक्चुअली आगे क्या करता है तो आप क्या- सर आप सर,
हाँ जी।
तो आप सर एक बार या तो फिर से लॉग इन कीजिए
अच्छा, मैं
और
बंद करके दोबारा करता हूँ। ओके,
बंद करके फिर कीजिए, और फिर क्योंकि उसमें वो आ जाएगा
ठीक है।
ये स्टॉप वीडियो जहाँ पर है, या तो नीचे म्यूट, स्टॉप वीडियो, शेयर, ऐसे तीन बटन आएंगे। तो स्टॉप वीडियो में तो खैर नॉर्मल तो वीडियो ऑन ही रहता है इसका।
राहुल जी।
सर आप सर अभी भी
हेलो।
आपका वीडियो नहीं आ रहा
नहीं आ रहा जी, नहीं आ रहा। मैं दोबारा ज्वाइन किया है।
है।
हालांकि जो वीडियो का मेरे डेस्कटॉप के ऊपर लाइट है वो जली हुई है।
अच्छा,
हाँ, और यहाँ पे आ रहा है वीडियो, जहाँ पे वीडियो दिखता है वहां आ रहा है वीडियो स्टॉप्ड।
वीडियो स्टॉप। अच्छा, तो उस पे यदि राइट में जो एक वो है उसको क्लिक करने से सर
एक वो
नहीं होता था।
एक वो सेटअप का।
स्पीकर के साथ नहीं है पावर। पावर तो कुछ नहीं इधर पीछे वो
चाय चला लो।
ये जो तार है, ये पीछे लगती है आगे लगती है?
पीछे लगा दो, पहली बार तो चली
पीछे से लगाऊं,
पीछे ही है वो, पीछे से ही आ रही हो
दिखाई नहीं देता।
ऊपर।
यहाँ से डालो जरा सा मुझे। मेरी नोट पीछे लगी थी। आ गई।
चलो हेडफोन है स्पीकर
Good morning, Rajesh.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर
Good morning. How are you?
बस सर ठीक ठाक सर आप बताइए
आज तो आप ही का शो है.
हाँ नहीं सर बोल रहे थे बहुत दिनों से कि करना चाहिए एक्सचेंज वाला भी एक करते हैं तो फिर
हाँ, इसके बारे में ज्यादा ये नहीं है ना, बातें
आइडिया
नहीं
भी
होती.
नहीं है हाँ जी हाँ जी
हाँ, हाँ, आइडिया नहीं लोगों को.
वैसे मैं आपके दूसरे प्रोग्राम को अटेंड करने की कोशिश करता हूँ पर वो हो नहीं पाते बीच में
हाँ,
जैसे
हाँ,
दो तीन प्रोग्राम हुए थे सर
ओके ओके.
हाँ, आप सर कभी आए नहीं इधर आप आइए ना
मैं आऊंगा,
एक
मैं
बार
आऊंगा.
आप हाँ जी हाँ जी
अच्छा. We'll plan and come. ऐसा प्लानिंग
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी
आवाज याद है
आप बेलगांव नहीं आए ना, राजेश?
नहीं सर नहीं
हाँ,
नहीं सर वो एक्चुअली फिर दो तीन दिन निकल जाता है ना सर
हाँ, ज्यादा ही निकल गया, 5 दिन निकल
हाँ, वही सर।
गया.
पर अच्छा हाँ अभी इस बार तो प्रोग्राम हो चुका है कर अर्ली जनवरी में हुआ था
हाँ,
ठीक
राइट.
है
हेलो आ रही है आवाज
हेलो आ रही है
ठीक है ओके
वाला बनेगा ना हाँ उससे ना थोड़े चटपटे बना देना कैसे बनेंगे चल ये क्या होता है
मेरी आवाज तो आ रही है ना राजेश जी?
हाँ जी सर हाँ जी
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, तो बिना वीडियो के काम चलाएंगे.
वो पर मालूम है सिस्टम में तो जो होगा या तो कैमरा जो आपका सर कहीं और किसी और एप्लीकेशन में यूज हो रहा होगा आपकी बाकी एप्लीकेशन सब बंद है क्या
अच्छा.
क्योंकि वो क्या होता है कैमरा फिर वहां ब्लॉक हो जाता है
हाँ 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 हाँ.
तो या तो बाकी एप्लीकेशन यानी टीम्स आपने कभी ओपन किया होगा वो उसमें वो बंद कर दीजिए जूम में यदि कोई ओपन हुआ है तो वो
हाँ, मेरा जूम खुला हुआ था, मैं अभी जूम बंद किया है, देखता हूँ
ठीक है
कुछ
ठीक है
कुछ और दोबारा मैं लॉग इन करता हूँ.
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी
हाय वर्मा जी, नमस्कार।
नमस्ते गर्ग साहब, नमस्कार, कैसे हाल चाल है?
कैसे हैं?
नमस्कार सर।
हाय मेहंदी रत्ता जी,
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार, कैसे हैं?
बिल्कुल ठीक सर, बिल्कुल ठीक। आफ्टर लॉन्ग
बढ़िया।
टाइम।
अपना कैमरा एडजस्ट करो गर्ग साहब, थोड़ा सा चेहरा तो दिखे आपको पूरा।
एडजस्ट करूं चेहरा? हाँ दिख रहा है यार, ये
हाँ
बात है।
ये है, अब आए ना देखो।
फिर ठीक है।
अब आ रहा है मेरा कैमरा?
सराफ जी नमस्कार।
हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक है सर, अभी ठीक है, अभी ठीक
ये आपकी चीज काम कर गई।
है।
आपकी चीज काम कर गई। हाँ नमस्कार।
हाँ
हाँ, गर्ग साहब सर नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
राजेश तुम भी ठीक कर लो कैमरा अपना।
अच्छा, मेरा ठीक नहीं है सर?
नहीं, बहुत नीचे है, चेहरा ऊपर करो।
ये
ऊपर जाओ मैडम, देंगी कुछ भी ले आना।
नहीं सर, अभी
हाँ।
ठीक नहीं है।
हाँ थोड़ा सा और ऊपर हो जाए तो। हाँ अभी
ये
अब ठीक आ रहा है।
सर वो प्रोग्राम कैसा था सर वहाँ पर?
वो अच्छा था प्रोग्राम।
सर,
हाँ
इस बार तो वो लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट भी शायद वो था ना सर, शाही सर का। और
वो प्राशर और तो शाही साहब नहीं आए थे। प्राशर वाज देयर, प्राशर को दिया था।
अच्छा,
गुड मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग मॉर्निंग राकेश जी, मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग राकेश जी।
गुड मॉर्निंग जी।
गुड मॉर्निंग कुलजीत।
गुड मॉर्निंग वर्मा साहब। गुड मॉर्निंग सराफ साहब।
गुड मॉर्निंग जी।
गुड
हाय
मॉर्निंग
कुलदीप।
दीपिका जी। राकेश नाथ साहब गुड मॉर्निंग। गुड मॉर्निंग शाही साहब। ब्रिजेश
जय
जी
साहब गुड मॉर्निंग। म्यूट है अभी उनका।
शाही साहब नमस्कार।
शाही साहब गुड मॉर्निंग।
शाही सर का लॉगिन है सर, तो शायद वो है नहीं वहाँ।
शाही साहब तो बैठे हैं।
अच्छा अच्छा, दिख रहा है, ओके।
गुड मॉर्निंग सिंह साहब।
Good morning, Jay. Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग।
हाय बीपी, हाउ आर यू?
Fine, Jay. Very fine.
गुड
मॉर्निंग सिंह साहब।
Good morning, Jay. Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग नेगी साहब।
Morning, sir. Morning. Welcome to
गुड
all.
मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग देगी साहब। गुड मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग नहीं।
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
देखिए साहब गुड मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग सर, आपका टेलीफोन भी आ रहा है।
हाँ मैं तो आपको इसलिए फोन कर रहा था, मुझे आज निकलना है कोई 1:15 बजे के आसपास, तो मेरा अगर थोड़ा सा एडवांस कर देंगे तो 1 बजे के आसपास कर देंगे तो मैं बोल दूंगा।
कर सकते हैं, क्यों नहीं? आपका ऐसा करते हैं, ये कपिल जैन को पीछे करके आपको आगे कर देंगे।
तो आप मालिक हो, आप जैसे मर्जी कर देना।
नहीं, मालिक नहीं, मालिक आप हो सर, हम मालिक थोड़े हैं।
Good morning, sir.
ये कपिल जैन साहब भी बैठे हुए हैं, इनसे पूछ लेना पहले।
Good morning, Jen.
Good morning. Sir, sure. 100%, sir.
अच्छा, उनकी
good
कंसर्न भी होगी।
आपको पकड़ना आसान नहीं है राम साहब, आपको पकड़ना आसान नहीं है। वेरी गुड।
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good
मॉर्निंग सर, मॉर्निंग, गुड मॉर्निंग।
Good morning, Shai Saab.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Saraf Saab. Good morning, Mr. Saraf. Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
Popli Saab.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Verma ji aa gaye.
Good morning, sir.
Rakesh bhi aa gaye. All our
Yes, sir.
stalwarts have come. BP bhi aa gaya.
हाँ जी.
Very good. We will start on time because between 12 to 12:30, 12:15 to 12:30, Mr. Jain will speak. 12:15, around that time, we should finish by this introduction. About 10 minutes I will take at 12:15 plus. And then 12:15 to 12:30, Mr. Jain. Because he had accepted it because he won't be available for a longer period. Therefore, we restructured the program a little bit. That is the way it will go on. So I have shared this with both Mr. Negi and Rajesh. So that is the way it will be done. So Rawat, you keep coordination with Mr. Jain's office. He had sent a mail and I had replied to him.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Jain's office will ensure that he is there between 12 to 12:30.
Right, sir. Negi sir, please start the proceeding.
Yeah, shall but start now. A very good
Please
morning.
go ahead.
Yeah, sir. A very good morning and very warm welcome to this webinar on gas exchange, the way forward. And in way forward, I am wishing to have a list of catalyzing the gas-based economy for India. That is ultimately look like. Hearty welcome to Sri Sahiji, the president of India Energy Forum, whose constant efforts making this forum as a unique institution. Welcome to Dr. Ek Jain, who will be joining at 12:15. Chairman PNGRB as chief guest of this webinar. Sri D.K. Sarabji, former chairman of PNGRB. Sri Mehdi Ratta, MD and CEO of IGX, if behind IGX formation and the growth. Also welcome to Sri Raji Mathur, Director, Haryana City Gas, Sri Kapil Jain, ED Gale, and my colleague member at IEF, Sri Ashok Verma ji, and all the participants from IEF and the industry. In fact, just I was recollecting when we preparing for this particular webinar, I called an incident of 2005 when Sai Saab was a power secretary and we were to revamp that Enron leftover power plant come LNG as double. The first challenge was how to run the plant, and it was basically the requirement of LNG. And we had to contact with ADNOC as well as Oman Gas. And contracts were under liquidated damage. But we agreed even to pay for liquidated damage. The then Foreign Minister Pranab Mukherjee Saab took a lead, and we went to both the places. And they didn't agree for even liquidated damage compensation. They said, no, we have already sold out and nothing has happened. So we are really feeling as to how to arrange this kind of small packages of the input for the plants, and we are forced to run that plant in HST mode. Sai Saab will recollect it was hit inconsistent influence was there, so we did the started, but it's not costly power with HST. So the continuation of this kind of thinking process went, and I was lucky to have met Mr. Mehdi Ratta. He was at the time IEX. And we thought, why to not try this kind of replication of the IEX model in IGX. So we had almost 5-6 workshops and conferences arranged with even foreign participation, and continuous effort led long time. And it was December 2020 when the then chairman GRB, Mr. Saraf, was kind enough to authorize formation of a IGX, and it did form on that year. And nearly 4.5-year journey of IGX, phenomenal. IGX has created a reality by making 6 regional hubs with 14 input injection points, even 6 including Hazira and Dahej itself. 1 at Dabhol, 3 in KGB, 1 is Dhamra, Bokaro, Shahdol, and Barmer. With this, almost every part of the country except in Northeast, where the 7 sister pipeline will commission, then there will be more hubs there also. And they have been able to administer all 7 types of contracts. That's intraday, day ahead, daily, weekly, weekday, fortnight, monthly. And now they are poised to launch 3 to 6 month long-term contracts on 3rd of next month. We have best compliments to them for successfully launching this, and industry look forward for such a good contract so that we can really source the gas as a competitive price. The area of trading both, now they have been able to trade pipeline gas and also the LNG direct from SSLNG market. And these kind of things have both. They have the exclusive contract for gas supply and also for the contract of mixed. They can have delivered contract with the transportation cost included. The formation, which I have been requesting IGX also to allow more participation. They have the almost 46% hold by IGX. GAIL, ONGC, and Adani hold 5% each. NSE Exchange hold 26% and 2% left for ESOPs. And they have this last 4.5 years traded almost 3.5 of gas. It's a good sign because progress is very consistent. And the total participants taking the advantage from this ICX crosses 35. And there are buyers almost 190 now, which are taking advantage of the gas pool or gas sold by IGX. The member are 45 and the clients are 200. And opportunity used by the companies like Manikaran or Tata Power, they are aggregating the volume of the small buyers like city gas companies, which do not have much demand, and then trying to source it from IGX and deliver it to the consumers at the low volume. So this is the one of the very, very good phenomena or good sense we have seen from IGX development, where industry now is confident. Now, what is happening? Look forward further. I'm seeing that there could be a capacity trading. Because if you see today, the pipeline which you have almost 25,000 kilometers of natural gas, it is still having utilization more less than 40% even. So this kind of growth, far-flung people, even LNG trading. So we will have the capacity trading of the pipeline, which will have more possibility of laying more pipeline. Then another good thing is imbalance management. Now we have both positive and negative imbalances in the pipeline. So to cure that imbalance, there is an opportunity from the IGX to store on daily basis. You just get the gas and cure that imbalance, save the money for the company. This very, very good thing which I have been doing. Then another thing is industry reliability. There used to be a fallback contract earlier in the GAIL, where we say if nobody is taking, we'll give you the gas. So dependability of that source was not very, very high. And the industry was actually facing problem with respect to operational input of the gas. So they have to pay heavy price sometime and sometimes go for HSD. So enabler for this, what I feel is IEF can play a role, which more is needed to really make this exchange very, very effective. One could be when you install a transportation service organization, there have been a lot of call in the industry that there should be unbundling or there should be independent. Even if it is not unbundling, even the independent TSO can make, as we envisaged earlier, that even GAIL can make it as a operating hub, one TSO. Second, bringing gas to GST. This will have the very, very flexibility in administrating the contracts. And then they will start the biogas trading and also green certificate. These are the correlated issues where the government also is forcing. And very interesting thing which has happened is the exchange index, GIXI. Now, there was a lot of problem earlier where we have to find the NELP or HELP market-driven price. They have to go to the market and find it. It was very tough actually. I recollect one incident of 2009. KG District gas was produced by Reliance and they were asked to find the market price from the market. So there was actually no market which will give you the independent market price because the consumption of that huge amount was not possible by any industry. So they did create a formula and which was not 100% approved by the government. They made some changes and it was there. So my point is establishing a benchmark even with calculations or thereafter brought the gas production in India the maximum. In the year 2010, India used almost more than 10% of the primary energy as a gas. It was that effect. But that formula didn't like by them for long term. Production came down for any reason, which is beyond the discussion at this level. But my point is the GIXI will provide a benchmark price for India, which could be treated as a market-driven benchmark price. This is what I feel. Now, what are the user perspective? How the users look for IGX? That's what a way forward for Mehdi Ratta Sahab also. The gas producer perspective is that selling gas at market price at an arm's length enable NELP, HELP producer to go through exchange, whatever part they want to have. So this is very helpful for the gas producer. They are not having that much worry. Create more gas, sell it more at market price. The trader, as I said earlier, the new class of business prospects will emerge as a gas traders. So they will source and they will sell. So it is their basically the efficiency and their capability, which will improve their total business market. And they can have, if attached with their some utilization, so they can have push-pull mechanism. Any undulations coming up for the supply and source mechanism, they can absorb that. So trader another. Third is the gas consumer. Now they can plan gas sourcing at market price as per the daily, weekly, or even larger contract, 3 to 6 months. A well-designed mix of gas supply can be achieved to economize at the commercially viable gas supply rate for the plant. And as I said, GIXI is one of the best index for India to go at. And it can also give you even international trading, international marketing or gas sourcing to enable how much India can absorb and what should be our parity. And finally, I feel as the people look forward for IGX, so it can be considered that more participation, equity participation by many people so that they own it. Actually, it's my exchange. The feeling should come up, it's my exchange. So with this, I again thank all the participants and the speakers of this particular webinar and look forward really this IGX will create a new gas markets in India. Thank you very much, sir, to all. So now I request Mr. Mehdi Ratta ji to have his presentation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah.
And thanks and very warm welcome to Shahi sir, President India Energy Forum, Dr. Anil Jain, to be part of this forum, to be part of this discussion, and all distinguished members of India Energy Forum and my colleagues from industry. So this is a good opportunity to actually connect after a long time and share what we are doing in IGX, and then how we can further develop. So few things I will present where I think we have a lot to do. Though we have achieved a bit of success, but still a lot of things to do. And I have drawn a lot of takeaways or learnings from the electricity sector, because in electricity sector, and most of our members of the forum is from electricity sector, and they would appreciate this part very well, that what we have done in electricity in last 2 decades is really something which has got a lot of learning, not only adjacent sector in gas in India, but it can be actually good way of learning for other countries also. See, we are much ahead of many other countries in the world. We are almost at par with the matured markets in other parts of the world. So I would be presenting, sir. I hope my presentation is visible.
Yeah.
It is.
Visible. Go ahead.
So
Just make it full screen.
sir, actually it is showing full screen from my side. I don't know. This is the strange thing which happens sometimes.
Mehndra Sahab, if you share the presentation instead of a screen, just share the presentation. It might do that.
Now is it full screen?
Not.
Oh. So I'll proceed, sir, because otherwise it will take some time to let me do some trial and error. So actually, sir, we'll talk about the gas exchange overview and what trades have happened, where we are in terms of liquidity. Then I will also talk about what are the similarity in power and gas, and what are dissimilarity. Just I'll try to do full screen.
Please go ahead with whatever you have.
Okay. So is it full screen now? No.
No, it is not, but go ahead. Otherwise, we will.
But it's visible. You can go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sir, so I'll talk about, sir, what we have, the model we have for gas exchange, and it is different in some manner with the electricity exchange. So basically, we still are delivery-based platform. We got approval in 2020 under the aegis of Mr. Saraf, and then started as a gas exchange in December 20. And since the transmission tariff in case of gas is still linked to distance, so we have to create, we can't create a single market as we have in electricity, but we have to designate few delivery points and few hubs. So basically hubs are regions, but exactly trading points are delivery points. So we have 16 delivery points all across India. And most of the delivery points are actually the points at which gas is coming into the system. So either they are LNG terminals or they are domestic gas production sites. So the dots which you see in the screen on the map, they are the delivery points which are designated for all the participants to know that if they want to sell, they can bring their gas up to that point as a seller, and buyer can take that gas from that delivery point.
There is no map on the screen, Manjurata ji. Please bring the map.
Pardon, sir?
There is no map on the screen.
It is still showing the first slide. It's not going to second slide.
Go to the second or third slide.
So the share window करेंगे? Entire screen.
I think IEX is doing the control also now of this, Mr. Rawat.
Sir, they have all
Yes, sir.
control.
They are
So
doing
it's not within their control, sir. I don't know that this is the problem with the WebEx we face there also.
अब आ गए.
So now is it visible, sir? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yes, it is. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
So basically, sir, we have 16 delivery points designated all across India. We have about 6 contracts which are currently available, and 2 contracts we are launching in next week, which will be 3-month, 6-month contract, and they are all with the approval of PNGRB. And the special aspect of that those contracts are they are linked to some benchmark prices. So these benchmark prices, which are generally considered to be these benchmarks are actually generally used by all the gas sellers and producers, and they are linked to some international spot prices. So JKM, WIM, Brent, these 3 are major benchmarks which are used by producers and LNG importers to sell gas into the system. So these prices of these contracts we have designed in such a manner that they will not be fixed price contract. These prices of these contracts will be linked to the these benchmark prices, and this is very special. And this is, I think, first time being done anywhere in the world, because generally all of these contracts are financial contracts. And basically, we facilitate normal regasified LNG, which is generally freely marketable, that has got complete market freedom. We also facilitate sale of domestic gas. So excluding APM, SPST gas, which we call as ceiling price gas, which is coming from Reliance and ONGC fields in offshore, and they have some pricing freedom, but they have some ceiling price cap, and that is being sold on the exchange. And then we have also a contract for small scale LNG. So those who want to buy LNG and they can take LNG in tankers, that's also available. And in terms of volume, sir, we have done trade of something like 46.7 million MMBTU. We have a unit of MMBTU, and 1 MMBTU is almost like 0.3 megawatt hours, to give a perspective of electricity. So this is the volume which we have done in 9 months of this year. And if you see last 4 years, so we have definitely grew in the second year, FY23. But after that, we have remained almost flat. And in terms of volume, you can also understand it from the term like MMCMD. So we in India consume something like 200 MMCMD of gas, and then out of that, we currently are facilitating trade of 4 million cubic meter per day kind of volume on the exchange, so which is about 2% of total gas consumption. And in terms of the spot volume, spot market, we are still 20% of the spot market. And total trade we have done so far is more than about 3.5 billion cubic meter. In terms of price, this is comparison with the international spot prices, and generally WIM, the Platts own a benchmark price, which is WIM, West India Marker, that is considered to be the best benchmark for Indian participants from the international perspective. And this is the blue curve shows the international prices, and the red curve shows the GIXI, like our own price, which we discover in India based on the trade. And generally both are moving together, but India's price actually is at some discount to international prices. So I'm just coming to discuss where this power and gas, how they are different. So in terms of characteristics, both are flow commodities. Both of them flows through some network. In case of power, it flows through mesh transmission line network, and in terms of In terms of gas, it flows through pipeline, but really it doesn't flow as per exactly automatically, because the flows can be controlled through compressors, particularly direction. And power can flow bidirectionally depending on the Kirchhoff's law. But gas, there is a possibility that through compressor we can change the flow of direction. And sometimes when pipelines were earlier designed, they were mostly single directional pipeline. Now new pipelines now coming as part of mesh network, they are bidirectional. In terms of storability, power has no storability, but gas has got some storability because they can be stored in pipelines also. And LNG terminals can keep gas for some time. Of course, not longer, but maybe 10-15 days kind of storage is possible with the LNG terminal. Important grid parameter for required to be monitored and then controlled or managed. In case of power, we understand frequency is the most critical parameter, and on that only we have devised all our imbalance rules and UI. In case of gas, there's nothing like frequency, but pressure in pipeline is actually one parameter which needs to be monitored to keep the pipeline secure and safe. So because there is some storability in gas, and it is not a frequency, it is pressure, and pressure can be managed with some time delay. So generally the trading and all other parameters for managing the gas system, it is based on gas day, which is 24-hour gas day. It's not 15 minutes, it's not 1 hour, it is one complete gas day, because within a gas day you can have a bit of control. Of course, in India it is gas day, the whole day is 1 unit, but otherwise in most of the countries they have moved to 4-hour blocks or 6-hour blocks. In case of trading day, we normally trade electricity in terms of calendar day, but gas has got a very peculiar gas day, which starts 6 in the morning to next 6 in the next day. So now with this background, I will come to what we further would like that should happen on the gas market, so that we actually can see the expansion of market. As we have seen in case of electricity, we have already moved to something like 7-8% of volume coming on the exchange. In case of gas, it is only 2%. We can move to easily 5%, but without making few changes on the liquidity side or in few terms and conditions for sale and purchase, we may not be able to easily move to maybe 5% liquidity. So volumes, we all feel, and most of the participants also feel, that volume should grow, so that the prices which are discovered on the exchange are more robust and they are more credible. So I will talk about the liquidity. Few things from if we compare from power sector, we have very diverse sellers, and there are no restriction on any seller not to sell on the exchange or not to sell in the market or short-term market. But in case of gas, we have about 35 plus sellers, which are mostly LNG sellers. APM gas is not available for resale. SPST has got some freedom to resale, but there is a restriction on margin. So for that reason, SPST gas normally is sold first time in the exchange, but resale is not happening. So then the last column we have put together that what we need to do, what we feel we should be doing in the gas sector so that we can expand the liquidity. So on the sell side, we have been pursuing with the government that why not APM and SPST gas, where there is restriction not to sell. Maybe initially 5 to 10% of gas can be sold through exchange to bring liquidity and to have a better price discovery. And further, the long-term contracts, which are not generally sold through exchange, resale of that doesn't happen on the exchange. So we are saying that maybe the resale of long-term contracts may also happen. and there can be some mandate to the incumbent entities who have a lot of long-term contract. They should be able to sell about 5 to 10% on the exchange. On the buyer side, again, there is some restriction on gas. In case of electricity, we understand there are 5,000 plus buyers, and there's a really universe of 10,000 plus buyers, including all the open access customers. But in case of gas, only 200 plus. And within 200 plus also, fertilizer doesn't have complete freedom. They are not allowed to buy it through exchange. They only have to go through a certain mechanism which has been issued by ministry. In power also, there is not complete freedom because the capacity on the network is not available during the day. So for that reason, we find that power is not being generally available. Power plants are not able to buy so freely on the exchange as and when they need, because generally they know about their schedule dispatch 1 day ahead, and in that time frame, buying and then booking capacity is a bit difficult. Though in their capacity was also not being made available earlier, but we have seen that there has been good support from the pipeline operators, and now they are able to get their capacity. Now further power plants need intraday capacity, because during the day they think that they can produce power and sell in the market, and they should be able to do it. And open access in case of gas system in the CGD network is still not happened, and there is though regulations are there, still that is to happen. So I am giving just an example in case of Europe, where there is a mandate issued in earlier when they wanted to open up the gas sector. They had issued a very specific mandate to their incumbent utility that they should be selling certain part of their total portfolio on the exchange compulsorily. Now, another area which we talked about is that today, in case of power, we have a complete single market. We generally, in case of gas, we call it virtual hub. Of course, we call in case of electricity single market. Now, in case of gas, since there are 16 delivery points, our market gets fragmented. Now, what we need to do, basically, everybody understands that if there is one single market, then liquidity will be better. So we feel that necessary enablers which we need to have on the gas side is, one is that what we have done in case of electricity is transmission pricing, as we have moved from postal stamp to point of connection, which is in case of gas parlance, it is called as entry-exit tariff, which is contractual path agnostic tariff. And we feel that the same thing should happen, or there can be a single postal stamp all over India. But we understand it will be very difficult, because those buyers who are sitting close to the source, they won't agree to pay a higher tariff. So entry-exit actually takes care of the distance part also. But that is something which we have found that most part of the mature market, they have already implemented that. And in case of we already have done that. In terms of taxation, again, power, there is no tax, so then there is no issue. But in case of gas, there is a non-uniform state level taxation, and that is actually fragmenting the market, because people will take a call when they want to do a transaction. They have to select the delivery point, and they have to select the delivery point in such a state where taxation is lowest. And for that purpose, the market gets further fragmented. So for having a liquidity and single market, we need one common taxation, and we need entry-exit tariff. That's what we have put here. And as we understand that in case of EU, I am leaving this for a purpose of reading, that EU has already mandated in 2009 that by 2011, every member country has to move from contractual path method of booking capacity, paying transmission tariff, to entry-exit. So, and most of the countries have done that also by now. In case of access to infrastructure, of course, this is well understood that we need to have non-discriminatory open access. And at interstate level, in case of electricity, already we did that in 2004, and National Open Access Registry now actually makes everything transparent and there is a single window clearance. In case of gas, there is no such single window. All three pipeline operators have different capacity booking systems. So what we further need is a online prompt common capacity booking platform. We don't have a system operator in case of gas. In case of electricity, we already have a system operator at national level assisted by regional and state levels. In case of gas, we have all major pipeline operators. They have their own system of managing their capacity booking and imbalances. Capacity treatment in case of power, we understand that whole of the capacity is booked by system operator or CTU. Even if somebody owns the capacity, he doesn't actually have any priority over that capacity. Though long term may have a priority, but that is also managed through common rules. But in case of gas, we have only 30% capacity which is available as a common carrier, and balance 70% is actually not freely and transparently available to the market. On the capacity booking confirmation, of course, in case of electricity, we have moved to 15-minute notice in real-time market, and that actually makes our whole market very vibrant. But in case of gas, we require 3 days for up to 3 days or 3 working days for booking of capacity, and capacity is available only on contractual path basis. Whereas in case of power, it is on entry exit, and of course there are a few corridors which have been defined, and on that we see the capacity.
Kindly finish in a minute or two.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, this last point I will leave it. And in case of imbalancing, we understand in case of power that if there is a UI, then there is a charge for UI, even for a 15 minute. You are not allowed to settle in kind. You have to settle only in terms of cash, which is not there in case of gas. And for that reason also, the market doesn't become so liquid. Scheduling and balancing is done for, in case of power, we have option to schedule at each grid connected node. Whereas in case of gas, the scheduling happens only on contractual part, and which we actually need to move to what we already are doing for power. And this is the same for electricity and gas in Europe. And balancing of all the imbalances in case of power, we understand is now RTM day-ahead markets are able to facilitate managing the imbalances. But in case that kind of thing is not there, but if we have a cash out rule and also scheduling on a grid nodes, then imbalance can be easily managed, and there will be incentive for people to manage their imbalances through markets. These are few things about the imbalance. I will leave it here for us to read. And this is the directive from EU for regarding the imbalance. They have also mandated that all imbalance should be done through market, and they should be transparent and non-discriminate rules for imbalance. So this is the summary, sir, which is I'm putting here. So one, we feel that we should have more increased liquidity from sellers, from buyers. All types of gas should be available to be sold on the exchange. All buyers should be freely allowed to purchase gas to exchange, which currently it is not. Access to infrastructure, we need to have one common platform. We may call it a gas access bulletin board or a common capacity booking platform, and uniform gas transport agreements. Then for virtual hub, we understand there should be uniform taxation, entry-exit tariff, or an independent system operator. Then on the market segment of balancing, we feel that there should be market-based balancing and cash out of imbalances. On the open access, still CTD network is not has got that kind of freedom of access, which we should provide. And of course, in the longer term, we feel that there should be more market segments, financial derivatives should be available. But that will happen only when we have a credible spot market. So these were a few things that we thought I will share with the forum, and then would definitely like to hear the feedback and learning, and we should be able to proceed after that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mehdi Ratta Saab, for your nice presentation. And your wish list, we just take forward one nation, one tariff, and there could be a GST application. Till such time, we want entry exit rather than contractual path assessment of the tariff. Thank you very much. Now, may I request our President, Sri Sahiji, to have his presidential address. Sahiji, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Negiji, and thanks, Rajesh, to give a very comprehensive overview of what's happening in the gas exchange, and also your suggestions, what needs to be done so that this process gets an encouragement and it makes contribution. I would like to acknowledge Mr. Saraf is there. Mr. Jain would be joining very shortly, maybe a couple of minutes. We have Mr. Popli, our Secretary General. Of course, Mehdi Ratta I mentioned. We have Mr. Verma, V.S. Verma. We have Verma of our India Energy Forum, Mr. A.K. Verma. And we have Dr. Garg, he is our treasurer. He also is attending the discussion. And we have our distinguished speakers to participate in this. This particular webinar was organized at a very short notice. In fact, we had planned it in the month of December, but then there were many of the eminent speakers who were not to be available, and therefore we had to reschedule it now. So thanks all of you for accepting to participate, speak in the discussion. I would acknowledge Mr. Anil Jain when he joins, and I'm grateful to him for my invitation to be accepted. And he is the chief guest of today's webinar. In fact, this is a very important subject. Gas itself is a very important subject. Gas has been there in our industry, in our life for now so many decades. And I think as late as 2015-16, the government set a target that the gas should constitute almost 15% of the energy basket. That 15% we have been talking for quite some time. And at one time it was more than 10%. Sometimes it was significantly higher than 10%, but it has declined. It has declined over the period. I think now it is around 6% plus. From 6 to 7% to 15% is a big target. I have seen the discussions in the recent years and also some literature in the recent years. Many of the agencies, many of the institutions, they feel that the target of 15% by 2030 is of tall order. And the developments that have happened in the last many years indicates, including the fact that our domestic production has not been going up. It is either declined or more or less plateaued. And therefore, import is the only solution. So therefore, many of the eminent people, people who are in the gas sector, have spent their career in gas sector, they believe that this 15% target looks very, very difficult now. Because the more we are trying, more. And it is in that context that today's discussion that what would be the role of the gas exchange, whether it is 7% in the energy basket or it is 15% in the energy basket. So far as relevance of gas exchange is concerned, it has been demonstrated. The presentation made by Rajesh just now demonstrated. Already it has picked up in last 4.5 years. And there are many things in the pipeline at the thinking stage. And we have reasons to believe that this as an instrument, to promote and to develop gas market has been recognized by all, including the regulatory system, the government system, that this is something which will be contributing to this. So therefore, there is a positive thinking. There is a positive thinking about gas exchange to make some contribution, a good contribution in the coming time. Dr. Jain has joined. Dr. Jain has joined. Thank you, Dr. Jain. At very short notice, I talked to you, and you were kind to accept our invitation, but you have some time limitation. Therefore, your agenda was between 12 to 12:30. So I welcome you. I have welcomed the other speakers and other participants. So I was mentioning that gas to occupy a higher position in the overall energy basket, there are two things which need to be discussed or which need to be recognized. One, that India's program of massive expansion on solar power, renewable, needs backup, and we are searching for several backups. We are searching for hydro projects, we are searching for pump storage, we are searching for battery storage, we are searching for hydrogen. So many options are being searched. One thing is definite, that solar will go up and up and up. So solar is less than 100 gigawatt, will go to 500 gigawatt, whether it goes to 500 gigawatt by 2030 or a couple of years later, it will go to 700 gigawatt and will go on. So, and then there will be different forms of solar, like we have solar, floating solar, we have offshore solar, etc., etc. So that will go on. Now, house-top solars and all that. It will go on. And solar will not be available in evenings, and therefore backup is needed. Just before a year, we were not very much encouraged to think that gas-based power plant can be a backup. Because following coal, globally it was projected, and even now it is being projected, that coal is fossil fuel, so is gas. But now, with Mr. Trump taking over as President of the United States, I think there is a definite change. He has made it very clear that whatever he has in United States as resource, he would produce and export. So this is a good development. That means whether that also goes to coal or not, but definitely petroleum, crude and gas, definitely United States is going to do in a big way on manufacturing. To that extent, there is some, I will not say going back, but there is something on the climate change discussion that will definitely happen. So much so that United States has withdrawn from the Paris Agreement, formally withdrawn. So therefore, for gas, that is a plus point. That means another plus point is that I have always been saying gas is a mischievous fuel in terms of price, on predictability of availability and predictability of price. But if United States starts doing this in a big way and they start exporting, and he has also said that somehow in the petroleum sector prices have been going up very high, and there is a concern insofar as United States is concerned. So that's also a good point. So these two developments in the recent past, and recent past in the recent weeks, is a good signal. So I think power sector in India should be rethinking in terms of whether gas-based power plant can also be a backup for solar in evenings if the behavior of prices and behavior about its predictability on availability improves. So that is definitely a good point. I think we have to enhance the share of exchange in the whatever basket proportion that we have in the gas, and we just heard that today it is about 2% so far as exchange is concerned. In power, we have tried in the last, let's say now, something like 15 years on the gas and the power exchange. We have definitely improved. The volume has improved substantially, and the template or the format in the energy sector on an exchange business to be transacted in terms of purchase and sale has been established. So many pluses and minuses, good experience, bad experience, sometime prices going up, etc., etc. That format is available, not exactly duplicatable in terms of gas, because there are some plus points in gas which is not there in power. Power you cannot store. Gas you can definitely store. So definitely gas sector can do better in terms of gas exchange, improving or contributing more significantly than even power exchange, because limitations in power are much more because of its inability to store. I think some of the suggestions that have come, if we have to improve, definitely we have to improve the supply. Unless supply improves, it doesn't happen. Now, in spite of our best efforts, advocacy, discussions, debate, criticizing, appreciating, not appreciating, we have not been able to somehow make a significant dent insofar as domestic production is concerned. So domestic production has either declined or plateaued in last almost 15 years or so. So therefore, that seems, I mean, at one time in Bay of Bengal, we had great hope, but that has also not happened. So therefore, if the share of gas in the basket itself has to increase, which it should increase, and today the scenario, as I mentioned just now, the developments of last few weeks, is there that there is a good hope. Then we have to see what happens to the LNG terminals. LNG terminals, then in that case, that infrastructure has to increase. Storage has to increase. Just now a point was made that gas cannot be stored. See, storage of crude is more difficult than storage of gas because the volume reduces significantly. So therefore, storage being for 15 days or 20 days, therefore, one can think whether we should do it for a longer period, in which case storage can also be used for price balancing when some sort of sudden shocks are there. So that is another thing that definitely needs to be encouraged. I think Petroleum Natural Gas Regulatory Board and the Petroleum Ministry has been sort of monitoring the pipeline development. Pipeline has happened. Something like, I think, authorized pipeline is of the order of more than 30,000 kilometers. But what has happened is about 25 or 26,000, 34,000 kilometers. What has happened is 25,000 kilometers, of which is operational now. So obviously, there is a big scope. But when I talk to some of the gas people, they said this, yes, this common carrier has happened, needs to happen more, but tie lines are not there. So therefore, the expectations of the government or of the regulatory system that this will develop as it is, because there is issue of viability gap funding, so we can do city gas distribution, do bidding, have the operators, but then they cannot invest more money on this. So therefore, one has to think. In power, we thought in a big way. Whole of India, rural electrification was done by government fund, but definitely. Transmission system is being done in a different way. So I think that is something that format, unless we have this common carrier, the high line, highways, and connecting systems going right up to district towns and subdivisional towns. We have 700 districts, and we might have more than 2,000 subdivisional towns, and then to rural area. I think city gas distribution, even in the local area, rural area, there is expectation that if gas comes, they will. Today they are doing with the cylinders, so definitely that there is a good scope. Transport, I don't think there is a great scope. Power, there is a scope. Today, 1 year back, I was not considering as a backup for the solar. Power trading, this gas trading and gas exchange and pipeline. I think in power we were quite clear, in our act we were quite clear, and we distinguished. Carrier is different, trading is different, system operator is different. I think that is a system which needs to be adapted, if not adopted. Today, there is a disconnect. Power trading corporations, they are, as individuals, they are a good friend of ours. But Power Trading Corporation doing this as well as having the carrier will not work. Power grid, we never allowed to do trading. Similar situation has to happen. Sooner it happens because we have been talking, thinking, debating, discussing. Sometimes it feels it is happening. Sometimes somebody has stopped it. So I think that we have to clear. That will help in everything. That will help in also exchange operation and market to be developed. System operator again has to be different, as we have done in the power thing. I think these are some of the thoughts that we need to move on, and diverse buyers, diverse sellers. I said when the gas exchange was created, because I was associated with Power Exchange, I did mention that we need to have a group of traders, a large number of traders. I would say traders' contribution in making power, energy exchange or power exchange, the success has been very great. Similar thing has to happen here. I think you should debate what has happened and what could not happen in power. We need not copy everything of power, but we need to adapt where it has worked in case of exchange. Exchange will contribute, our target should be, we said 15% merchant capacity, 50, but we have not reached 15% even in power. Something like that we should think in terms of gas exchange, 15% of what is happening. Of course, gas itself has to be more than 6% of the basket. And then 15% of that for this, but that will take 5 years, 10 years. That should be our target. I think these are some of the thoughts that we can further debate, discuss, and I will now request Mr. Dr. Jain, welcoming him once again when he is already connected. Thank you very much, and I'm grateful for your accepting our invitation. Mr. Jain.
Good afternoon, Shri Shahi and friends. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. I think, Mr. Shahi, you are such a large doyen of this sector. कि आपके इस व्याख्यान के बाद और कुछ बचता नहीं है कहने का आपने. You have covered the gamut of gas in power, gas in urea, gas in CGD. You have covered the infra-related regulatory mechanism, CGD, common carrier, etc. Now, a few points, a couple of 5-6 points which I wanted to make was,
your audio is not coming. Video is not coming. Your audio is okay.
Am I audible now? Am I visible now?
No. Somebody should, your office should, your video, I mean, people would like to see you. Also. Otherwise, you can.
Settings.
You are quite clear in your what you
camera resolution.
Sir, आपका वो वीडियो कहीं लॉक तो नहीं
वीडियो ऑपरेट नहीं किया है.
More options.
सर आपका टीम से जूम कहीं ओपन होगा ना तो उसको बंद कर दीजिए क्योंकि तब वो वीडियो नहीं आएगा.
बताओ भाई.
कैमरे में कोई कैप
Fast connected. कैमरा चलो. कैमरा अच्छा.
Very good.
Perfectly okay.
Good. नमस्कार.
एक इसमें पॉपअप होता है उससे कैमरा आता है.
Very good. Yeah, now it's clear.
So, as I was mentioning, that a couple of points which I wanted to make was, wherever I go, and I was telling Mr. Mendran today also, I think people will get bored of hearing me because I keep parroting the same views, that I am a complete supporter of gas exchange. While in the coal ministry, I very strongly mooted the idea of a coal exchange. It's going up and down, but I'm told that the new minister is in its favor. So, for a developed energy market, for a country of the size of India, which is the third largest energy consumer, having a well-developed functioning market is a must. And gas exchange provides absolutely that opportunity. And going forward, if we go towards the net zero, now, when you want to discover the true price of carbon and then levy taxation or do whatever the government wishes to do to gradually move away to net zero, at that point of time, discovery of prices will become very important. Having a uniform price across the country, it hides the true price. So, IGX is something which should be made successful, and we should use the marketing forum, the exchange forum provided by IGX wherever we can. Now, some of the things which the IGX, was meant to provide. Number one was the determination of government take. We all know that in these production sharing contracts, there is a price which is determined, and then in the older regime of NEL, everything went into a kitty, and after the contractor took away his cost recovery, whatever was left was divided between the contractor and the government. So what would be the size of this kitty will be determined at the price at which gas is sold. So the discovery of the true price of gas becomes very important, so that there is a true and accurate determination of the takes of different people. And let's not forget that in the case of on-land production, be it of CBM or be it of oil and gas, the states get the royalty, the states get petroleum, so states ka uske andar interest hai. Offshore mein, of course, it goes to Government of India. So that is something for which I think we needed a very well functioning gas exchange. Second thing is that as Mr. Shai spoke about the role of storages. Now it's obvious that storages are required, to provide comfort to gas consumers. अब सर्दी में अगर गैस की डिमांड अगर बढ़ती है, या यूरिया प्रोडक्शन के टाइम में if there is an upside, then there should be a storage available somewhere from which the consumers can draw more gas. Storage अगर नहीं होता है, तो that kind of a supply comfort is not available. Number two, gas markets internationally are volatile, and especially in the last few years, as we are seeing that due to geopolitical development, suddenly gas की prices up and down. अब Trump के आने से भी people are expecting कि gas price में कुछ गिरावट आएगी. Now, a gas storage gives opportunity to traders and consumers to buy gas and store when it is cheap. And so, in a way, a well-functioning gas market requires storages. अब वही role जो है, वो एक gas exchange provide करता है. It provides signal to the buyers that is this the time for me to lock in contracts, or is this the time for me to stay away? So it mirrors the demand and supply in the markets. Alongside with that, somebody has, अब जैसे हम लोग धीरे-धीरे बहुत सारे tenure products IGX पे introduce करते जा रहे हैं. अभी 6 महीने वाला किया है. Going forward, we may have even a longer contract. So a gas exchange provides comfort of different kinds of tenures, different kinds of scheduling. Pipelines में हम देख रहे हैं कि there are some pipelines on which you have a lot of congestion. Let us take the example of HPJ. And there are so many other pipelines, जिसमें 30%, 35% ही. So if you want to incentivize people to move away from congested pipelines to uncongested pipelines, if you want to send a bigger signal to consumers कि किसी को अगर कोई gas से related कुछ अगर plant लगाना है, तो he would like to go to those areas where maybe the pipeline can deliver cheaper gas. तो उस pipeline का tariff भी ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है. तो ये सारी की सारी चीजें जो हैं, ये जैसे entry exit system में अगर हम जाते हैं, तो इन सब इसके भाव का निर्धारण IGX के माध्यम से हो सकता है. But the problem that we face is that even though IGX has been in existence for a couple of years, but the use of the IGX platform, as we were mentioning the other day, I was at their event, which had 3% or so is the total gas consumed in the country, which is actually being traded on the IGX. So there is actually, in the case of, I think, IEX and the other trading forums, the share is probably 7%. पहले 5 होता था, शायद उतना ही है, 6-7 होगा. So there is a larger issue which so many elders and so many experienced people. I can see the names on my screen. I think what is needed is that whatever is ailing the power sector, even in the coal sector, in the whole coal sector, we all know कि 2019 के बाद कोल इंडिया का जो कोल पावर सेक्टर को लिंकेजेस से जा रहा है, उसके भाव में कोई इजाफा नहीं हुआ. Now, presently, as we are seeing, the latest people must have read in the papers कि कोल इंडिया की जो मार्जिन्स थे ऑक्शंस में वो ड्रास्टिकली रिड्यूस हो गए हैं. कोल इंडिया का प्रॉफिट भी कम हुआ है. Anyway, we don't want to make too much money on fuel because it will make the final product expensive. But the role of IGX or coal exchange or the matter power exchange is not really to get higher prices to power producers and to fuel producers. It is basically to determine the right apportionment. It should be, it should pay for their investment. It should pay for their hard work. It should. Now, the entire issue is that India still needs to migrate to a well-functioning energy market. And as I said in the beginning of what I'm saying, कि जब तक कि आप ये अगर आपको नेट जीरो की तरफ भी जाना है, तो मार्केट्स के थ्रू ही सिग्नल होगा. अगर किसी चीज कल को ये CCTS ने लगाया कि they put some levy of carbon, it should make that fuel more expensive. पर expensive ही नहीं होगा अगर administratively determine करेंगे. तो we need a very well-functioning energy market. And not only for gas, we need it in power, we need it in coal, we need it in oil and gas. And you can't have an IGX. अब जैसे यूरिया की जो देश की रिक्वायरमेंट है हमारे पब्लिक सेक्टर या कोऑपरेटिव सेक्टर की जिसमें सब्सिडी दी जाती है, अब वो IGX में लाने की बातें नहीं करते हैं कोई, बिकॉज दे से दैट भाई वो तो कैनलाइज मैकेनिज्म के थ्रू ही हमको लेना है. तो they don't want to use the market mechanism. Markets की जब तक कदर नहीं होगी, markets का role, I think there is some fear in some stakeholders that the role of market is basically to give higher rewards or higher prices. अगर वो fear है भी तो सेक्टर को ओपन करिए ताकि मल्टीपल ऑपरेटर्स आए और जो इकोनॉमिक्स के लॉ हैं डिमांड एंड सप्लाई के वो ऑपरेट करें. मल्टीप्लिसिटी ऑफ buyer, multiplicity of seller, and a transparent mechanism जहाँ पे price determine हो. So my understanding to this learned group in today's workshop conferences that we need to advocate. आप लोग सब विभिन्न सेक्टर्स के हैं, एनर्जी के हैं, गैस अकेले के नहीं है, कि एक वेल फंक्शनिंग एनर्जी मार्केट की हम लोग एडवोकेसी करें. अगर वो एनर्जी मार्केट होगी, फॉर्चुनेटली इंडिया में जो हम लोगों ने लॉज बनाए, चाहे वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एक्ट आया, चाहे वो PNGRB एक्ट आया, तो वेल फंक्शनिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस बहुत सारी. तो ग्राउंड इज वेरी राइट. अब रिन्यूएबल का सेक्टर जिसमें गवर्नमेंट का इतना रुझान है, उसमें बाय एंड लार्ज प्राइवेट सेक्टर ड्रिवन है. उसमें पब्लिक सेक्टर भी, चाहे NTPC एनर्जी या GUVNL, इन लोगों ने भी बिडिंग माध्यम से ही कैपेसिटीज क्रिएट की है. तो ग्राउंड आर राइट. मल्टीपल प्राइवेट सेक्टर ऑपरेटर्स, प्राइस डिटरमिन, बिडिंग, ये सब चीजें, गैस एक्सचेंज, पावर एक्सचेंज, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी रेगुलेटर, गैस रेगुलेटर, सब कुछ है. बट एक उसके प्रति विश्वास, ताकि इन मैकेनिज्म्स को यूज किया जाए. इतने सालों के बाद आज पावर एक्सचेंज में सिर्फ 7% ही बिजली ट्रेड हो रही है. तो इट गिव्स एन इंडिकेशन दैट देयर इज सम पुश बैक फ्रॉम समवेयर. सो दीज आर माय वर्ड्स, gentlemen. I don't see any lady here. So thank you very much for inviting me, and my best wishes to everyone.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jan.
Can we now, Saiji?
Yeah.
Can you request Mr. D.K. Saraf, because he has to have another commitment at 1
Yeah.
o'clock.
Saraf Saab,
So I request to have his address to this webinar.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Negi, for accepting my request for preponing my interaction. And thank you, IEF, for having me here. I would start with saying that government has been aspiring. It's an aspirational goal of 15% of our energy basket to be contributed by gas. Globally, it is 24%, and today we are just at 6%. Towards this objective, the ministry, the regulator, gas industry have taken several initiatives on various fronts. However, the share of gas has remained constant at 6%. Today, we are at 5.77%. In the year 2020, we were at 6.84%, and at about 15 years back, we were more than 10%. So we have been reducing. Government has been saying that we should increase it, but we have been reducing. Which means that 15% appears to be a far-fetched goal. What I would discuss today is in two parts, that what we have done and what we need to do in future. What we have done from regulator perspective, in city gas distribution, we have done a lot. About 10 years back, we were just at 17% of our population was covered in CGD, city gas distribution. Today, we are almost 100%. And today, city gas distribution is said to be the growth engine for gas consumption in the country. So this is a major achievement. On authorization of pipelines, several new pipelines have been authorized by PNGRB. And some of them are which have been authorized in the recent past have been quite significant, like Mumbai-Nagpur Jharsuguda pipeline, the pipeline which connects all the 8 northeastern states to the main gas grid of the country. So that's again, very significant. The Urja Ganga pipeline, which goes through several states. So this is again a great achievement by PNGRB. And most importantly, the authorization of the gas trading exchange, which has been done about 4 years back. This is also quite significant. And I would say that this is one single most important gas market reforms which the PNGRB has instituted. And this reform has the potential to totally change the gas markets and in India and take it to the global level. And this has been done in quite significantly less time, record time, from end to end, which includes preparation of the regulation, its stakeholder consultation, notification, then asking applications for the exchange. Again, stakeholders consultation and authorization of exchange. End to end, it took less than 7 months, which is just unheard of in any of the parallel regulators. One more significant thing which PNGRB has done, it has implemented the unified tariff, which is a very positive step. We will talk of unified tariff later also. From industry's perspective, on the the industry has been contributing also significantly in terms of implementation. The pipelines which have been recently authorized by PNGRB, the progress is quite good. Another thing which industry has contributed is the LNG capacity. The LNG liquefaction capacity, which used to be just 5 million ton 2 decades back, today is 47 million tons. Which includes some of the which includes some of the recently commissioned terminals like Ennore, Dhamra and Mundra, and many more are under construction, like the Dahej expansion, Dabhol expansion, Chhara, Jafrabad and Gopalpur. and many others would come in future. So here also the industry has done quite well. Now coming to what is required to be done. And I would say that the first thing which is required to be done is policy clarity on natural gas. If you talk to any industry player, gas industry player, on one-on-one basis, the biggest complaint the industry would have is that there is inadequate policy clarity on role of natural gas in countries' energy ecosystem. Though the government has been saying that we need to reach 15% market share in energy, but the support which is available from the government is grossly inadequate to reach that. So there have been conflicting statements from the policymakers which make the matter even more worse. So, and there is no, we all know, we don't have today an integrated energy policy which we have been looking for since decades. So firstly, it is policy clarity is required on role of gas, and then the industry as well as the government has to do the advocacy on gas as a cleaner fuel than coal, and also economical most of the time. So this is something which is required for development of gas as a fuel and gas market consequently. Second thing which I would like to say to for development of the market is inclusion of natural gas in GST, because we have today VAT, and the problem with that is that whatever taxation the industry pays on natural gas, either by of VAT or by way of excise duty or otherwise, the credit of that cannot be taken by the industrial buyers. That is the biggest problem, which makes the taxation cascading. And from market perspective, market efficiency perspective rather, varying VAT and the variation is quite large, from 5% to 20+%. The market is segmented, and the free movement of gas from one state to another state is impaired. So from this perspective also, the implementation of GST on natural gas is highly recommended. Government may be worried about the revenue, but even if the government declares a rate which is revenue neutral on natural gas, I think that would also be advisable. And some industry experts, they have worked out the rate, and that rate would not be very significant. Second thing which I say from market perspective is tariff reforms. It has been talked about by Mr. Jain also, as well as Rajesh. PNGRB has already implemented the uniform tariff, but now the time has come when it goes into the next generation of reform on tariff, which is entry-exit tariff. So because the unified tariff, it defies the concept of anonymity of buyer and seller, because the tariff which is paid is between a pair of buyer and seller. But if it is entry-exit, I think the free movement of gas across the markets would be ensured. These two measures, which is the GST and the entry-exit, would enable to fulfill the vision that one nation, one market. I have no hesitation in saying that the natural gas sector is at least 10 years behind the power sector in terms of implementation of various reforms. And this is despite the power sector is far more bigger as well as more complicated as compared to gas sector. And more importantly, power sector, power is in concurrent list of our constitution, which makes the things even more complicated because all the reforms have to undergo the consent of the states. So this discomfort is not applicable to the natural gas sector. I would not repeat what other speakers have said in terms of gas release mandate, and which is very much required. And this has been the global norm also. Another thing is that benchmark fixation for natural gas, which is very important. Market reforms, Rajesh has talked in terms of in terms of market regulator, the unbundling of roles between the molecule and pipeline, open access, etc. These are the things which which needs to be implemented to make the gas market really vibrant. So this is what I need to say today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarab Saab, for your very insight information and also the way forward as to how bring up this gas sector. Very interesting, but we'll have a question answer later on. May I now request Mr. Rajiv Mathur, Director, Haryana City Gas, to have his address.
Thank you, Negi Saab. Dr. Shahi, Dr. Jain, Sarab Saab, Mehndiratta Saab, Kapil Jain, Mr. Verma, all the other industry stalwarts who are present here today. It's a very great honor for me to be amongst all the stalwarts and to share my views on CGD sector. Although so many experts have already spoken and most of the points have already been discussed, but I thought I'll put my perspective on the CGD sector per se, and some of those points would be repetitive, but I would just like to share a small presentation which I have. Sir, let me see.
I think you have to be made host, no, Rawat Saab?
चलिए सर, I will just speak like that if it's okay. So what?
Rawat ji, आप इनको host बनाना पड़ेगा.
Sir, most of the points have already been spoken. So आपका presentation है तो better है सर. अरे कोई बात नहीं सर, मैं ऐसे ही बोल देता हूँ. Okay. First of all, sir, I would like the international perspective on fossil fuels is changing, and because of Mr. Trump coming in, we are seeing a renewed focus on fossil fuels. But amongst the fossil fuels, I thought I will say natural gas is distinctly a premium fuel. It's cleaner than, as we all know, coal and oil. It's more competitive at IPP with LPG also, sir. That is what I wanted to say. Of course, we have seen that amongst other fuels, reduced carbon emissions is what natural gas gives, and in energy equivalence also, vis-a-vis crude oil, gas is distinctly cheaper. Also, in spite of the import taxes, etc., on LNG and gas, it is cheaper than crude oil if you see on an energy to energy basis. Therefore, my take is, sir, that natural gas should be the focus area as far as CGD sector and the growth of the energy requirements in the country is concerned. As we all know, people have talked about 15% share of gas going forward. Unfortunately, we are at 6%. But if you look at the global perspective, globally, gas is growing today in spite of all the talks of renewables and transition to cleaner fuels, etc. Is growing at a CAGR about 3.2%. Growing urbanization will require more and more use of natural gas. And internationally, about 82% of all gas that is consumed is in urban areas. And therefore, we will continue to use or require more and more gas going forward as the CGD networks get created within the country. And we all know that, gas is a better fuel vis-a-vis coal or oil in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, I think the policy clarity that Saraf Saab was talking about, I think is required to be there, where government needs to support the use of gas going forward explicitly, and there has to be a clear roadmap for gas to find a place in the energy basket in the country, sir. We have been fortunate that, with so many rounds, bidding rounds for CGD, almost the entire country has been authorized to various entities for creation of network and for creation of distribution network and for, reaching all the households across India. And therefore, going forward, the kind of commitments that the CGD companies have given, about 12 crore PNG connections, going forward, which is a very tall number, sir. About 18,000 CNG stations to be established. All this will require a lot of gas going forward. And also the support of the government in terms of policy and hand-holding. My take is, sir, that for a sector which requires about 1,30,000 crores worth of investment in the next 5 to 7 years, the kind of commitments that various public and private players have made requires a lot of support from the government, and it's probably one of the largest upcoming PPP initiatives. The public, private sector, government, all have to, support it going forward. And one good, sign of this is that the use of gas, if you look at various sectors where gas has been used within the country in various sectors, in the last 7 years, the share of CGD, city gas distribution, use of gas in city gas distribution, has grown from about 15% share to about 35%, sir, of the total gas used in our country. And it augurs well going forward as a base for the growth of the gas use in the country. Therefore, we will need a lot of policy initiatives, incentivizing the use of piped natural gas use through policy measures, a lot of regulatory and fiscal support that would be required for the CGD sector, and the infrastructure that is getting created will have to be put. The logistics will have to be set right for the CGD sector to actually thrive, grow, and reach the customer, so that the use of gas grows. It will also require a lot of mass awareness programs to be put in place, sir, for people to realize that yes, gas is there, gas is one of the better fuels that can be used, and that it is going to be there available to us over long term, and it has the support of the government. Also, what we will need is the development of the enabling ecosystem, sir. So my take is, sir, that policies akin to what LPG was about 50 years ago, the government supported LPG for at least first 50 years of its existence, sir, through various things like, allowing the oil marketing companies to cover up for all the under recoveries and give them a rate of return, which enabled the entire LPG network to be established across India, sir. So what we see today, the LPG distribution network and the efficiency with which it is being distributed and the success of Ujjwala scheme, etc., is all because of hand-holding of the government through its policies, which enabled LPG infrastructure to be created, a market base to be created, and availability of the product to be there, stabilization of prices, and that resulted in where LPG is today. So my take is something akin to that for the PNG and especially for the CGD sector is a must today. And unless the hand holding of the government is there, I'm afraid we will still be debating of 5-6% versus 15%, sir. And therefore, it comes to something which may not be, what the market dynamics requires, is something like subsidizing the household, sir. Today, if you want to give a PNG connection, a household has to pay 8,000 rupees upfront. Now, somebody who is already getting a benefit of a LPG cylinder, and that too in various different schemes like Ujjwala, etc., 2 cylinders free, somewhere 300 rupees per cylinder being foregone, and already. So why will anybody be willing to pay 8,000 rupees upfront to get a piped gas connection, sir? That is where the role of the policy, the government and the policy makers would come in to handhold, sir, these kind of PNG connections. So if we are looking at 12 crore PNG connections, some kind of incentivizing scheme for a household has to be there for him to get more attracted to a PNG connection than having a LPG cylinder, sir. And then only this transition to, piped gas is going to happen. So it is a point to ponder about, because, for years together, we used to read that subsidies of 50,000 crores per annum, 60,000 crores per annum, for years together had been there for LPG. Now, natural gas, as we all know, is any day decidedly better than even LPG in terms of safety, handling, in terms of even costs, sir. So why not the support for this product, sir, if we really want this to penetrate to all the urban centers? So that's my first case, sir. The second case is, as Saraf Sahib and the other stalwarts have already talked about, is, high time when it comes into GST, sir. Unless it comes into GST, the industrial buyers, the commercial buyers will not be attracted, sir, with the kind of VAT regime that are there. And that also creates a distortion in the market. Some state it is 5%, some state it is 22%, some state it is 24%. It creates different segments of market. Somewhere it gets a better deal, somewhere it doesn't get a better deal. And then the benefits cannot be accrued to the offsetting whatever, taxes the industrial buyers are paying. So why will anybody, graduate to using piped gas as opposed to any other product which is under GST, sir? So this is a point to ponder about. Also, sir, CNG is becoming popular day in, and a lot of new stations are coming up, a lot of new CNG vehicles are coming up. Now, there is something called excise duty on gas compression. Now, 14% excise duty on gas compression leads gas CNG to be, almost at par with diesel at the delivery point, sir. The point is, sir, there is no new product being manufactured or anything that attracts excise duty, and yet 14% excise duty is there on CNG. My case is, sir, that if government can look into the the excise duty, at least bring it down to a rational level or remove it altogether, then there is a case for gas being CNG being more attractive than diesel or for that matter petrol. Now today there are cases where companies have been authorized to set up CNG stations, and with the kind of taxes and duties and other things and delivered rate, and there is no pipeline also there. People are lifting LNG and converting into compressed natural gas and delivering. Price is equivalent to diesel or petrol, or even more. So why will anybody go into CNG, sir? So if we really want to make this attractive fuel, then excise duty also needs a look, sir. Also, when oil can be imported at 0.5% or no custom duty, then why is it that gas imports carry 2.5% or 5%? So reduction or removal of custom duty on import of gas is also something which needs to be looked into, and that is where government hand-holding will help a lot for this sector to grow. Also, I would argue for the expanded grid, the infrastructure. We are talking of entry-exit system, but then the entire gas grid has to be in place, sir, and distribution network has to be in place for us to enter into the entry-exit system. Otherwise, there will be legs where you can make an entry, but the exit is required at some point where there's a missing link as far as the infrastructure is concerned. Also, till the GST comes in, some kind of a uniformity in policy across states for levying of VAT should be there, sir. Otherwise, it distorts the market, with somewhere the VAT is 5%, somewhere 20, somewhere 24%. It distorts the attractiveness of natural gas as a fuel in CGD sector as well as industrial and other sectors. The other point which I would like to make is that there has to be some mass awareness campaign, sir. Like we have Ujjwala scheme, we have schemes which have come in to attract the use of electric vehicles, etc., etc. Some mass awareness campaign for piped gas, especially in CGD sector, would be required, and some educational initiatives, sir. Even in school books, people should be, the young children should be made to understand the virtues of natural gas and the clean fuel that it is, and how in developed nations it has been extensively used. If that is there, then the mindset of people would also change towards natural gas and use of piped gas, sir, as opposed to traditional fuels, etc. Also, we have already talked, and then the last point which I wanted to say is about the enabling ecosystem, sir. So a liquidity, an IGX kind of an exchange is very welcome to create liquidity, sir. Discovery of prices, stability of prices. Then the other thing which the government, did wisely was to give first priority for APM gas to the CGD sector. But unfortunately, the volumes are not adequate enough. As the sector grows, sir, the volumes of APM availability are going down day by day. So then the other points which I talked about will at least offset the lower availability of APM gas, higher availability of HPHT gas, or even traded gas, imported gas which is traded across the exchange with a price discovery, will allow the CGD sector to grow, sir. And the last point is, sir, easy access to LNG terminals for anybody who wants to import gas, and easy access to pipeline systems. The common carrier and the access to the pipeline systems would enable CGD sector to grow and thrive in a big manner, sir. So I would stop here, and thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. I think you have really elaborated the wish list, considering as if the IEF is basically policy influencer or listener to such kind of issues and take up with the government. So very nice. In the end, I think there is a concluding session. May I now request Kapil Jain, Executive Director of GAIL, to have his deliberation on the gas market perspective. Kapil
Yeah,
Jain,
thank you. Yeah, thank you,
over to
sir.
you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Respected Dr. Jain, Dr. Sahi, Dr. Negi, Sri Sarabji, Rajiv Mathurji, Medhi Ratnaji, and all distinguished guests. It's my privilege to be the part of this one. So many learned speakers have already spoken in before me, and I've covered a lot of points, but still I will try to get the things done. So just I would like to share the presentation. Okay. Sharing, can you and I
Rawat Saab, can you make him host?
Yeah, I think are you able to see that?
Yeah, Kapil, your screen is visible, but you have
But
to
not
move to presentation.
Full screen kar lo usko.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see this now?
Yeah, very good. Well done, well done. Ho gaya.
Total pan. So I'll start with this. A total. I've been asked to ask about the gas market perspective. So just I will go through what is the gas presently in consumption, what is the infrastructure and other things, and be brief because a lot of already points have been covered. So just you see that we are the third largest consumer of energy in the world behind US and China, and almost 936 metric tons of equivalent of oil we are consuming. Yet if we see that our energy basket, just to out of the total mix, coal and oil together are 83%, whereas gas share is only just 5.8% of the energy mix. And we are talking, government is talking, and everyone is talking about increasing from this present to 15%. So that 15%, if we have to increase the gas mix, that has to be more than 500 SCMD of gas per day of consumption is required. So when we talk of the world scenario, I'll just briefly cover that. What is the production? Mainly the production is by US, which is the leader, or 22%, with Russia, Iran, China, and India is way behind it, just 0.7% of the total world production of around 10,000 MMSCMD of gas. Whereas in the consumption part, also again, US is the leader with Russia, China following it, and we are still at only just less than 2% of the total gas being consumed in the world. And in terms of LNG export, when we talk of, Qatar is the leader with Australia and US behind that. And we are the consumer, we are the importer. And after China, Japan, Korea, we are the fourth largest importer at 5% of the total gas. Just we talk of our consumption pattern of what is the gas being consumed in the country. There has been a continuous growth. Now, if you see the trend here, there is a continuous growth, but when it was in 2021, there was a dent because of the COVID. There was a certain decrease. Then again, further it increased, but then 22-23 saw a decrease. 164 MMSCM was the gas consumption because of Ukraine war, where the prices have gone high. So just you see that the market is very dynamic with regard to price volatility, with regard to calamities and any other things. So further to that, now there is a continuous increase. Now when there are things are normal, in 2023 and 24, the total gas consumption was 183 MMSCMD. And in the present year, 23-24, when we are talking of 24, now this has gone to 200 MMSCMD per day of consumption. So if you see the breakup, mainly now the 98% is the domestic gas, whereas 101% is the RLNG. So more or less, there has been an increase in domestic production from 92, but last year onward is almost remained more or less constant at 98%, 98 MMSCMD rather. But the RLNG share has increased now. So now it has from that 72, if you see in the 23, last year it was around 85, and now it has gone to 101 MMSCMD in the present current year. So the RLNG share is continuously increasing to meet the growing demand of the country. So just if you see the breakup within the country, the major chunk is by the fertilizers, where they are consuming both domestic as well as RLNG. Fertilizer is more consuming the RLNG part compared to the domestic. Then further, next is the power is there, which is consuming the gas. Mainly, there is a small allocation only of the APM gas, balances through the RLNG. And CGD is the fastest growing sector, which is now you can see the yellow line, which is there. Now it is 33 was there in the 23. Now it has gone up to 41 MMSCMD of gas consumption per day in the CGD sector, which is almost 21% of the total basket. So just a pictorial view of the current scenario. You can see here, fertilizer is almost constituting 28% of the total consumption in India today, both domestic and RLNG together. Then CGD is the second largest sector, which is 21%, power is 14%, and balance is the petrochemical and other sector which are consuming the gas. So to meet this demand, actually the gas is coming now. You already, when the people have already talked of the infrastructure, yes, the infrastructure is in place. Now, with the commissioning of Chhara, also 53 MMTP of infrastructure is already operational now in the country. And further, around 25 MMTP of infrastructure is at various stages of construction or is proposed in the pipeline. So in the future, if the demand is growing, if we have to meet that 15% target, that means I'll cover in the next slide how much is the domestic and what is the share of the RLNG. And but to meet that, yes, the infrastructure will be there in the position when the proposed terminals also come in picture. So on the upstream side, the infrastructure will be ready to meet the demand of the country. So just and that's upstream. When we talk of the midstream, is the pipeline. So already 33,000 kilometers of pipeline is authorized and 24,000 kilometers of the pipeline is now under operational. And GAIL, you know, is 70% stakeholder, almost 16,200 kilometers of pipeline is with GAIL. Then the GSPL, PIL and other people are operating the pipeline. And under construction is the balance work, which is under progress. So by next 2 to 3 years, we expect that these lines will be constructed, and we have around 30,000 plus of infrastructure pipeline will be there. To just what the speaker was talking of the entry exit point or different places, infrastructure is to be there. So the national gas grid as well as the area northeast and other things will be covered, and we will have the major of chunk which is covered by the pipeline infrastructure. So when we are talking of the future growth, when we're talking of 6 to 15%, the gas has to be consumed more than 500 MMSCMD. And just I've taken a report from the KPMG where they say that if the business goes as usual without the geopolitical situation or other things, our internal consumption will increase to around 380 MMSCMD of the present, what are the present consumers, of which if you really see 160 MMSCMD is projected to be the domestic source and RLNG is around 195 MMSCMD. So you see that from 101 MMSCMD today, the growth will be major chunk will be coming from the RLNG part. And also the CBG will also be the one which will be producing, which is expected to be around 40-45 MMSCMD, which is there. So the 380 MMSCMD growth will be coming from there. And to increase to 515, then there will be the other sectors which are going to help in this sector. This I'll come in the next slide where are the other sectors which will really put in the growth sector of this. These are the normal 380 is from the fertilizer, the CGD, which we are talking of as a usual. So just we can see that power sector, the growth remains more or less flat. Fertilizers also remain more or less flat up to 2030. But refinery, yes, it is going to increase. Now it is expected around 125 MMSCMD by 2030. The major growth you can see on the left side is the CGD sector, where almost the present will go at least 2.5 times from the present scenario. That is where the major chunk is coming. So that will be the major consumer. The CGD sector will be the number one sector in years to come now. It may will be overtaking the fertilizer sector. Even the iron and steel sector will also see when the northeast grid is fully operational, and also the steel plant which are in the Jharkhand and others will switch over to gas. There will be the growth in the iron and steel sector also, and industrial sector also. Some from conventional fuel, fossil fuel they'll convert. That is also some of the sectors which there is a growth. Apart from that, to increase from 380 to 500, what are the major sectors which are going to cover? One is the balancing renewable power, which is there because you are already going with the renewable power, but you know solar and other things are not the 24/7 24-hour supply. So the balancing power will come from the gas sector. So there is going to be increase in the gas sector, which is there. The generation will be from 15 to 33 MMSCMD. Peak load demand also, because in the evening time there is a peak load, or the seasonal peak load is there, where in the month of summers, when April, May, June, when there is a summer, the power plants are increasing. This time also there was a lot of peak load was there, wherein the balanced gas was make up through the gas-based power plants. Generally, the power plants are remaining idle because APM is not being allocated to them. but in the peak time so the power consumption by the power plant is during the peak seasons. And trigeneration is one area where we can grow. Iron and steel is an area where, because the conversion from the furnaces where they convert it to the gas-based furnaces. And one major chunk which is there is the LNG. LNG as a transport fuel, long haul is one of the area where we look for. China is the leader in that. Almost they have 7,000 plus CNG stations and consuming around 15 MTPA of gas. That means that is equivalent to almost 50 MMSCMD of gas. You can understand today's 25% of the India's gas is being consumed by the China only in the transport sector. So this is the area where we are looking for. This is the area which will also increase the gas demand in the country. Another are the mandatory conversions, the regulations which are required, which will allow for conversion from FO to the gas sector. So this is just the LNG stations which are coming up, LCNG stations, because many of the CGD sectors where the pipeline is not there, they are catering through the LNG cum LCNG stations. Almost 20 plus LNG cum LCNG stations are operational in the country. AG&T, Mega, Gasonet, GAIL group of companies, all these are there which have now come up with this LNG station and LNG cum LCNG stations. So when I talk of LNG as a transport fuel, already 20 LNG stations are operational in the country now, and future around 50 to 60 are already in pipeline by various companies, including GAIL group companies, IOCL, BPCL, private companies like Ultragas, BLNG, Adani, everyone. So this infrastructure is going to build up, and almost right now around 700 trucks of LNG are plying in the country, which we expect that by 2030 this sector will grow and have a good consumption of the gas that is there. Almost we expect that around 300 plus stations will also be there in the infrastructure which is going to come. Though are very less compared to the CNG sector, which is almost now today 8,000 plus, around 8,000 CNG stations, but LNG is also picking up slowly, and that is for the long haul trucks why I'm talking of. And then the growth which is coming from the CBG, already CBG sector, which is one of the important sectors, where already government has mandated the 1% blending by 25-26, 3% by 26-27, 4% by 27-28, and 5% on 28. So already now there are 70 plus CBG plants are operational now, and there is a Satat scheme, there is a CBG synchronization scheme, and now the pipeline scheme has also come up. Yesterday also there was a conference wherein MOPNG was taking the review of the CBG, especially the pipeline connectivity of these CBG plants with the grid, so that injection can be there. So there is a lot of emphasis from the government side to connect this with the pipelines and increase this. And when the blending will start, definitely this thing will go. So we expect that what I told in the previous slide, that 40 to 45 MMSCMD is a gas, which is a potential is there. How much will come, it will depend upon the plants which are going to be operational now with the support of the government. Then another sector, one or two just things I'll share. One is the SSLNG, which is there, which is coming up, wherein the gas is being converted to the liquid form. So 2 plants we have as a pilot product, we have established a GAIL in the country as a first have established at Vijaypur, where we are producing the LNG from the gas itself at Vijaypur plant and supplying to our Mandideep, this one. So at the far off distances, which are from the terminals like Dahej or this, especially the central India and the North India, where there is a Jammu Kashmir or Himachal or something like that, these areas we can have this kind of LNG plant, SSLNG plant, which can convert the gas into the liquid and supply to the LNG stations, so that both CGD sector as well as the transport sector is benefited, because this will reduce the cost of the transportation. And also this is a good solution for the isolated fields where there is a lot of flaring, gas is being flared because they are not connected to the pipeline. So ONGC, oil, these can be connected to this. There is also a type of IOCL has already tied up with ONGC to have one pilot project on this SSLNG also. So this will bring that gas to the sector and will increase the gas availability to the country. This is one of the just photograph of Vijaypur plant of that cryogenic box which we have established through the Galileo. This is there. And the next one of the major thing which we support when we talk of the system of developing LNG is the mobile refueling. MRU is already there in CNG, but still it has not come up so nicely. But MRU in LNG also will be a game changer, because in the mining sector there is a lot of potential to consume this. So that what I was talking of, that there is a growth in the LNG sector in the transport, will comprise of long haul as well as the mining sector. And MRU is draft notification has already been issued by PESO, but we are awaiting the final notification for the change in the SMBV rules, which will allow this MRU to be there in the market, as well as also allow this LPG tankers to be run on LNG and go inside for the loading part. So this could enable this one system as a whole. And this is one of the pellet bullets. These are the small LNG bullets which are there of 1000 liter, which can be the part of the industries which are far off industries. If we can supply through LNG, like one LNG cylinder can cater to 1400 household in a case. Since the CGDs are not now the city, now they are the districts and big areas where pipeline connectivity is an issue because lot of infrastructure, lot of capex is required. So these kind of LNG bullets can be placed at the localized centers where there are good villages or the complexes are there, and can be supplied through this, or industries which are far off can also be supplied through this LNG bullets. So that is there how the system is going to kind of. So this is all from my side. This is there, but still when I'm talking of this thing, lot of things are required to be enabled for policies which are there to be enabled by the government. Already a lot of the earlier speaker have already spoken on this. Mathur Saab has very nicely explained what are the enablers. So support from the government, the policies enablers, as well as IGX, which is there, which is now come up where the shortfall, because you know now the APM is decreasing, allocation in the CG sector is continuously decreasing. Now it has come to, for the CNG sector, CNG, it has come to 51% of the allocation. So it has to be met through LNG. Everyone is not having the kitty to really have that gas. So they depend on the short-term gas, which is there. So IGX is a very good platform from where they are getting that kind of a requirement. They can buy the gas in daily basis, weekly basis or something. So that is one of the good enabler that the CGD sector can get the gas from this sector. And the future also, this multiple exit entry and other things will definitely lead to the growth. So that is all from my side, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kapil Jain. Very, very wide coverage. Nice thing. Good hope, especially for the MRU and LNG carry to the far-flung places. I think there will be. We are running behind schedule only by, I think, 15 minutes. So, Sai sir, we can have some question answer.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, the forum is now open to the question answer.
Negi sir.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Sharma. Mr.
Sharma ji,
Verma.
boliye.
So, I mean, it's a good story. I just want to give a little idea about as to what has happened. We started LNG in 2004 on the premise that LNG is cheaper by 30% compared to oil imports. Now, LNG imports have grown from 0 to 24 million tons as of last year, 2024. And oil imports have grown from 100 million tons to 270 million tons. So there is a very little growth as far as LNG imports are concerned. The economic benefits would have been much larger. In 2011, we took up eliminating kerosene from the scene and as a part of 12th plan. And today, from 11 million tons, today we don't have any kerosene at all being used. Only 0.2 million tons is being used in Jharkhand. Now, the problem with gas is that gas is being considered as a bulk fuel and not as a retail fuel. We are using the 40 billion cubic meter equivalent of LPG, which could be easily replaced by imported LNG. Now, I don't know, I mean, why we don't take up that policy that in urban areas we should use regasified LNG, the pipe gas CNG instead of LPG and petrol and diesel. What Rajiv said, the excise is not 14%. 14% would have been costing somewhere around 8 rupees per kg of CNG. It is 14 rupees per kg of CNG, and that's why the CNG prices are much higher. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as a policy maker, we don't do anything as far as the oil sector is concerned.
Okay.
Until and unless we go through all these changes, LPG is going to increase. The gas would remain what it is there. Domestic production is going to decrease. I am a geologist, in fact.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Thank you. No, but I will persuade all of you
Right.
to focus questions relating to gas exchange, because I'm going to have now in the change scenario, and I made in my remarks that maybe gas is getting a new lease of life following the declaration by the new US president. We will do that. But let's today focus on gas
exchange
related thing.
Gas
Then,
exchange.
to that extent, there will be some common question, but let us focus on that.
Gas exchange.
Mr. Verma, Mr. V.S. Verma.
Sir, my worry is that in the gas sector, since the availability of the indigenous gas is not increasing with time, and the new finds are going to compensate for the loss of availability, loss of the generation of gas, availability of the gas. Therefore, who would maintain the pressure of the gas lines, like the frequency in our grid? Which organization can maintain the pressure, and how will they manage this one, since the availability is a question?
Okay. Any speaker to say?
Can you answer or I will answer?
I'll answer.
Kapil Jain.
Kapil has left.
Sir, no, I'm here, sir. Can you just 1 minute away?
I can reframe the question. The question is, if the gas availability is less than the gas demand or consumption, how are you going to maintain the gas pressure in the pipeline?
No, the thing is that we have to source the gas. When I told you that the domestic gas today is approximately 98 MMSCMD, and balance whatever is the shortfall is being met through the import. So always, like GAIL today already have tied up with ADNOC as well as Vitol for additional gas, and also they have tied up with for HH Henry Hub also another 60 cargoes in the next 5 years. So the gap because we have to maintain a balance between the demand and the supply. We cannot say that the drawal is more than what is the input. So there has to be always the that is what is the limitation we keep, that we maintain the pressure. So the balanced gas has to be imported, and we have to source additional LNG, and that what our group is, IGS group is already doing. If there is a more demand, they go with the spot market purchase also, depending on it, and maintain the balance between the total gas availability.
अच्छा वर्मा जी, इसको तो मैं elaborate करता हूँ आगे को. See, there are two things. One is the availability is less than the demand. One way that they are going to cope up with the import of LNG. This is one. Second, the system of gas operation pipeline will take care of any fall in the pressure. It will cut off the supply actually if there is a fall in pressure. There is automatically application software attached with the pipeline system. So pressure will not fall. We will have to meet the demand by importing extra LNG.
Yeah.
All right. Another question. Mr. Verma, you are muted. You are muted, Mr. Verma, if you want to say something.
I have.
My question was, sir, from day-to-day operation of the gas grid, and how the market can successfully operate if this is the situation in the sector.
It was not, your question was not about the pressure or
No,
maintaining
pressure, because pressure is related to the market operation. And if every time we have to think of importing and then maintaining, the supplies have to be curtailed. And can the market ensure the supplies, whosoever is taken?
Should I answer, sir?
Yes.
Why not? Yeah.
Actually, this situation of suddenly domestic gas is not available is not there, sir. Normally, you have a plan for a month, and then the domestic production is also known upfront 1 month in advance, and LNG is also there. So good part is, sir, LNG is there in the terminal, and there are big storage tanks of LNG. So they have substantial LNG available. And second part is the pipeline itself holds a lot of gas. So that is called as line capacity. And that line capacity is huge because we have like 24,000 kilometers of pipeline, which is a trunk line, and they can hold something like 7 to 10 days of India's total gas consumption. So this situation of suddenly losing pressure in pipeline, that doesn't happen, sir, because LNG is there in the storage. Pipeline also has got some storage, and generally domestic production is known upfront, not that it happens suddenly. But even if it happens, that will be very small, and then that will not impact the integrity of pipeline.
Okay.
Okay, any other question?
There's one question for Rajesh. Rajesh, we have been discussing about flared gas, but the problem about flared gas is that there is no pricing policy for flared gas. So there's a need for the pricing policy for flared gas. We flare about 2.5 million standard cubic meter of gas, as much as you are using. So that's one area. The second part is that we had this bio-CNG also coming up, though of course the volumes are not much larger. So what exactly in your exchange system, how the bio-CNG could be integrated, and what should be the modalities, because bio-CNG people are quite scattered, though there is a pricing policy for bio-CNG, but yes, still they have not been able to come to your fold. The third part is that you don't have any gas hub in southern India. So what exactly, I mean, is your view as far as creating gas hub in southern India?
Well, yes, sir. Actually, I'll answer the second one first, the bio-CNG.
Yeah.
The bio-CNG can, we are ready with the model that how that can be traded, because this will be decentralized and that will not be available at the gas delivery points which we have identified, because there will be so many hundreds of delivery points. So one mechanism which we have proposed is certificate mechanism. It is like you
so they can supply only in cascades.
So if there is no pipeline connection, then really it is difficult, sir, because so far we are only providing trade of gas which flows through pipeline. And because cascade becomes too decentralized, because then who will measure whether it is correct or not, and then it requires a lot of other administrative overheads, and then it becomes very difficult to do a real transparent competitive platform. So mostly cascades are sold under bilateral arrangement. People do long-term arrangement and they sell it. But another interesting thing I was going to tell, that we have already suggested a mechanism which is CBG certificate, or which is called as renewable gas certificate. This mechanism is very similar to renewable energy certificate, and there you can sell gas as a normal brown gas in the system locally. But when you get certificate, so premium on the because it's a bio and it's comes under renewable, so that certificate they will be able to hold and they can sell it separately. And then since there is an obligation also now on all the CGD company to buy a certain percentage bio CNG, so then they will be required to buy these certificates. So this mechanism is under discussion within ministry, and we hope that that will come soon. Second part was on
you
the
are
southern
procuring bio CNG, Kapil? GAIL is procuring bio
Sir,
CNG.
Yeah, sir, I will add to one thing is there, sir, that the government is pushing for connectivity of the pipelines. So yesterday when I was talking, there was one entire CGD sector, including the CBG producer, were there in the conference chaired by JS. The emphasis by the government, the scheme which is there for the DPI scheme, development of pipeline infrastructure, that scheme, the government is funding 50%, 50 lakh rupees per kilometer, or the 50% of the cost, whichever is lower, for connecting these CBG plant to the infrastructure, CGD infrastructure. So the connectivity will not be with the grid, not with the national grid, because generally it will be since the CBG is mandated to be used for LNG and PNG only. So it will be connected to the localized CGD networks, and most of the CGD which are authorized there are emphasized, and now recently only they have allowed the OMCs also to lay the pipeline. So even the OMCs who have given the LOIs to different companies for developing that, now they can also lay the pipeline and connect it to the grid of the nearby CGD entity which is there. And since it is already being mandated for 1% from the next year, so they will be obliged to take that. That is there. The only issue is one is the quality, because CBG, 90% plus use of methane, but everyone wants that it should be 97% plus. So now everyone is emphasizing that there should be online chromatograph, because if the monitoring is not there, it could have moisture, it could have CO2 more of the content, and which will troubling the problem. So now everyone is emphasizing that, and Indore and some of the locations already it is being injected into the CGD networks now, and they're strictly monitoring the quality of the gas which is there. And now the CBG producers also know that yes, we have to give a better quality of gas which is less content of the moisture, and CO2 is also less, and it is more, and the rate in the CBG synchronization is energy based, whereas in the SATAT it is only just a kg based. So if they put a more CO2 in that, there is benefited in the SATAT. So that way it is there that the things are improving now further, and definitely that is there. GAIL is the modality to have the tripartite agreement facilitated that, and I think around 150,000 SCM of gas is being produced now as a CBG, which is being in the pan India under this total schemes by the CBG producers now.
Thank you. Any other question?
Sir, the other part of the question was whether we don't have any delivery point in South. So, sir, we have 3 delivery points in KG basin. So that takes care of domestic gas. For RLNG, since Kochi and Ennore are still not connected with the national grid, so there we are not able to provide option, because the sellers are very few, and they are anyway selling whole of LNG what they are bringing under some mid-term and long-term contract. But as soon as the markets will open in South, we will have more delivery points there.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, then I think there is no other question.
Yeah.
Very good. Let me make some concluding remarks, then we will hand over to Mr. Popoli for vote of thanks. Let me at the very outset thank again the chairman of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, who agreed to be chief guest, and he gave a good address. Very loud and clear. He made it very simple that he is fully supportive of the gas exchange. He believes that power exchange has done something good. It can do better, that is different. It can increase its share in the market from present 5-6% to higher. But 5-6% is percent. The whole size of the market of power itself has increased tremendously. So therefore the volume has increased. So far as the exchange is concerned, it's done good. So Mr. Jain is fully supportive of this. So we can expect Mr. Jain for dispensation on policy, so far as the regulatory board is concerned, to be supportive of, to be helpful, to see that the exchange operations become quite useful and they contribute for the purpose that they have been set up. In fact, you are wanting to say one point we got it, that we should be doing some policy advocacy. There is a good chunk of people, agencies, individuals, who think that these exchanges tend to increase the price. I remember when we set up this power exchange, and really in the beginning, first and second year, the prices were high. So we were worried, because power exchange, I had some role to play from the government and then later on also. So we were worried that it should not be branded as an instrument which is responsible for increasing the price to the harassment of consumers. And sometimes when the price becomes 10, 11, 12 rupees, they don't realize it is for a small fraction of time, for a small fraction of the total volume. But then people get worried. So therefore, as a regulator also, though he himself is quite committed to various forms of market players, various forms of market constituents, and development of a good energy market. But yet, he did caution that we should do things, we should explain things in a manner that this concern, wherever this concern is there, is addressed, that no, it is not meant for that. Coming back to, I think we had very good presentations from Mr. Mathur, from Jain, Mr. Jain. Mr. Jain made the complete comprehensive details of what is happening, what is likely to happen, covering on the overall situation of gas and LNG, and gave an idea of how much of the terminals are being created. Small terminals are being created in terms of something like hundreds of them, so that transportation becomes easier, even storage in terms of biogas, etc., etc. So I think he gave complete, and also by Mr. Mathur, he gave a lot of suggestions on what we should do. What prompted Mr. Negi to say that we are not, of course, the policy makers, but I will correct you, Mr. Negi, that our job is to convey what policy changes should happen. We will try. We will continue trying. We will continue trying for any good points that are made. And if there are weighty points, whether it is GST, whether it is any other tax, whether it is any cess, whether it is transmission tariff in terms of your case. So I think this is, you have imagined, you can see 2 years back, we raised a big alarm on why nuclear power plant is in the margin. And 4 or 5 seminars we did, discussions we did behind the scene. We persuaded NTPC to get into the picture. And today, you will be glad to see, not only because of our policy advocacy and discussions, but also because of many others who took that policy, that today now government is gone to the extent of opening up the nuclear sector. So therefore, this is a long exercise, no doubt, not very frustrating exercise. In power, so many things are happening, have happened. In all energy sectors, things have happened. I made the point that I do see, I myself was critical that 25,000 megawatt of capacity on the power, not even 1/3 is being used because gas price is very high. And at that price, nobody is prepared to buy. So therefore, there has been a decline. At one time, power used to be something like 20-25%. Today, it is about 12% of the total consumption that it takes on the gas. But in the revised scenario, post new election in the United States, and very loud and clear declaration by the Trump administration, by Mr. Trump, that they are going to get into manufacturing in a big way, and they will be supplying to the outside world. I mean, there is an opening there. And I tell you that if we piggyback, we will be doing all other options on solar backup. We will not stop up on pump storage. We will not stop on any other thing, all renewables. But at the same time, our battery. But at the same time, I do think that there is a ray of hope. If some private sector or government, I will definitely convey into the power ministry that if at a higher level, a long-term arrangement is made with USA, which somehow this UAE and others, they have been creating problem for us. Earlier, they linked the gas crude. All our gas-based power stations remain idle. So therefore, if some long-term is made, the type of need that you will have for backup of your solar projects, I think you have, Mr. Mendiratha, a good scope to create, because that will be short-term. That will be for a few hours. So obviously, a role of exchange in providing that sort of a buffer to run the gas-based power plants, unlike long-term PPA, will be great. So that is one opportunity definitely we should be doing. I think storage is another, the point that was made, and Petroleum, I mean, Chairman Regulatory Board fully supported that. That storage can be another method of trying to balance the price shocks globally. And that storage, LNG storage should be not only 15-20 days, for larger number of days. We discussed about the structure of this sector. We have Regulatory Commission, we have Gas Authority of India. Mr. Jain, you made an excellent presentation. But on gas exchange, the point that I made, and I think this framework that has been created for power, we have good and bad experiences of that. Taking the good and bad experiences of power sector, whatever has worked, we should work. And definitely, if you have to open up the market with multiple players, multiple suppliers, multiple consumers, definitely you will need something like that. Transmission is separated from the trading. We had no doubt in our mind in power, and it has worked. Not only transmission is separated from trading, but even within transmission owners are separated from the system operation. Today, it can be a private sector transmission owner, it can be a public sector transmission owner. Today, at least 10-15% of transmission is by power private sector. So you have a system operator who takes care of this. So you have an independent system operator, you have transmission separated from trading. Maybe you can create a trading outfit, you can create but ownership of pipeline has to be distinct from the trading of the thing. So that is absolutely, there should be no doubt. Sooner it is done, better it is. It is not only for promoting the exchange operations, it is for a disciplined working. Whether it is through your traders, or it is through exchange, or it is through long-term contract, this separation is very, very important. Besides system operator, it was also felt that we should need to have, like Rajesh gave a big list of how many traders and stakeholders are there in the exchange operation. Therefore, that number has to increase. I think we have to first create demand for gas, and it's a good time now. Turning point is this month. 1 month back, I would not have spoken what I'm speaking today. 1 month I was writing that write-off. Gas is not going to be a backup for anything, because the way the petroleum sector and gas sector behaved on price fluctuations and volatility and price shocks, power sector was ruined insofar as 25,000 megawatts is concerned. Today, I have some level of confidence, and I will definitely from India Energy Forum and on my own behalf, I will try to discuss with people what. And in that type of a structure that emerges, basically a gas market structure, it has taken time for the power sector, and power sector itself is trying to do further, to further refine the power sector market structure. If there is a format, as I said, with pluses and minuses, can be adapted, can be adopted, can be abandoned if that is not worked. And that is a good point. The thing is that Petroleum Ministry, the Regulatory Board, the PMO seem to be on similar thinking. How all these things can be integrated so that it moves forward in a manner that it is required to move. And in that, I do think there is a good scope for exchange operations to expand its business, which is what it should do. We cannot expect that exchange will constitute something like 25% of the total volume. Today, they will be constituting about 2 to 3%. Maybe it might slowly increase 5-10% and all that. But we should definitely aim, like we did aim in case of power sector, as I said in the beginning, about 15%. We have not reached that 15%, but we have definitely moved on the volume. So I think with those words, I thank you very much. This was done very well. Both the organizers, Mr. Negi and Mr. Rajesh Mehdiratha, they have done a great job. And I am grateful on behalf of the India Energy Forum for all the speakers who have participated and all those who have attended. Thank you very much. And now I think I request Mr. Populi, our Secretary General, to propose a formal vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
It
sir.
was, as our president has said, it was an excellent webinar, very informative for those who are little less aware about the gas sector and how it has taken off. I must thank our president, because he has been constantly pursuing everyone to have webinars, And this is the result of this. At a very short notice, it was done. Grateful to Dr. Anil Jain for joining us and sharing his views, and for excellent by Mr. Mathur, Director HCG, and excellent presentation from Mr. Kapil Jain. Mr. Mehndi Ratta's presentation was really very informative, very illuminating. I am thankful to him. And of course, Mr. D.K. Saraf, who has left, thanks to him for his presentation and taking out time for full 2.5 hours, for taking out everybody. Grateful to all of you and all the delegates from India Energy Forum and our guests. I am really grateful. And of course, Mr. B.S. Negi sir, who set the context, starting with 2005, when gas prices was to be discovered, and I was in Power Finance Corporation at that time, doing Dhabol project, and also for Konasima project, we were to discover the gas price, and we reverse calculated when Secretary Sir R.V. Shahi Sahab was Secretary and Garg Sahab was the Chairman of PFC. So we worked out $4.2 per MMBTU, taking it at par with the price for thermal power plant. So we said that is what is viable, and that is how this was a discovered price.
Hello.
$4 they quoted, and that was accepted, and that is how $4.20 was the discovered price per MMBTU in 2005. So I just wanted to share this, and grateful to everyone for joining in this seminar. And thank you to Mr. Negi and all the guest speakers. Once again, Mr. Rajiv Mathur, Mr. Kapil Jain, D.K. Saraf sahab, and of course, Anil Kumar Jain sahab. And thank you once again to our president and all our delegates from India Energy Forum. Grateful, sir. Thank you.
Kapil, I will meet you
Thank you.
separately. You seem to have a lot of information, and you have compiled it so well and articulated it so well.
We will
good
sir,
resource
hope
for
you
the
will be able to
energy
share
sector.
this, sir.
So I will have a session with you separately when I am there. Around
Sure, sir. Sure.
Very good, very good, very good. And Mr. Mathur
Thank you, sir.
also did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this one. Thank you, sir. And
Thanks.
I'll share, sir. I'll share the things. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
the best. All the best to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mathur, sir. Kapil Jain, thank you, sir.
Everybody.